Take a kiss. You love your mommy? You love you too? You wanna get down, huh? Come on. Let's go walk. We're gonna walk in the park. If someone, a doctor, anybody speak against your kid or yourself, then you should not accept it, bro. Yeah, anybody, sure. If they're guessing or whatever.
And people in the comments is like, just talk about, oh, she's still in denial, all of this and that, coming for her. But she's absolutely right. You're not supposed to accept that. And I could testify firsthand to that because the doctor tried to speak over me that I was legally blind. You feel me? That I was going to be blind by the age of 16. They told me that by growing up because my vision was really bad. They couldn't find a prescription for me. I had to use giant magnifiers in class. All my sheets had to get blown up. You feel me? I had to use these big old machines like with cameras attached to it just to view the board. Then in high school, they wanted to give me an iPad to use, which was much easier. But still, all these accommodations being made, I had to use marker to write with, couldn't write with regular pencil. They couldn't find nothing wrong with my eyes. And through that all, I never accepted what the doctors tried to say or put over my life. And neither did my mom.
You know what I mean? So the things you normally do with kids and, how they start off walking and talking, it's a build up to that. And it takes a lot of you walking and talking to them.
Okay.
And that's where she's like not doing enough at.
All right, because a lot of people
he
think
can see, he can stand.
Okay.
He can move. He's very agile. He's very mobile.
He talks.
He doesn't talk. He makes noises and stuff. You can tell like if you put the time into it, it'll happen. But if you don't.
The internet did not just get messy. It got explosive, emotional, and borderline chaotic overnight, and somehow, right in the middle of that digital storm. Guess who's trending AGAA and like this is her full-time job? Yeah, Chrisean Rock. Just shook the timeline with a statement about her son that people are still trying to decode because what she said, it didn't just land quietly. It hit like a bomb. One clip, one statement, and suddenly everybody turned into doctors, detectives, and emotional analysts at the same time. Some people heard concern, others heard denial, and a whole group of people. They heard something completely different, like the internet was watching 3 separate realities unfold at once. But wait, it gets worse. Because right when people thought they understood what was going on, Blueface enters the chat. And now he's out here missing his son, dropping emotional energy into the situation like this wasn't already messy enough. And if that wasn't enough chaos, here comes Carlissa Saffold. And she did not come quietly. She came defending, clapping back, and adding gasoline to a fire that was already out of control suddenly. This wasn't just about a statement anymore. This turned into a full-blown family drama playing out in front of millions of people and the internet. They're eating IT up. People are choosing sides like it's a reality show finale. Some are defending Chrisean, saying she's being misunderstood. Others are riding for Blueface, saying a father has every right to speak up. And then you've got Carlissa stepping in like the ultimate wild card, saying things that only made everything more intense. And now the question isn't just what Chrisean said, it's what she meant. Because depending on how you hear it, the entire story changes. It all started with a clip, because of course it did. A short, emotional, slightly confusing clip that hit the internet like a lightning strike and immediately threw everything into chaos the moment Chrisean Rock spoke about her son. People didn't pause to understand, they reacted instantly. Within minutes, timelines were flooded with opinions, hot takes, and dramatic captions that made the situation feel even bigger than it already was. And just like that, the narrative began forming before anyone even knew the full story. Now here's the problem with viral moments: context always shows up late. By the time longer clips or full explanations start circulating, the internet has already decided what it believes. Some people heard concern in her words, others heard denial. And a whole group thought she was just speaking emotionally without clarity. But once those different interpretations started spreading, It created multiple versions of the same story, and each version had its own set of believers ready to defend it. And then came the edits.clips cut mid-sentence, pauses removed, tone twisted just enough to change how everything sounded. Suddenly, what might have been a complex emotional statement turned into something much more dramatic. People weren't reacting to what was actually said anymore. They were reacting to what was presented to them, and the more those edits spread, the harder it became to separate fact from interpretation. The reactions came fast and aggressive. TikTok turned into a breakdown zone, with creators stitching the clip and adding their own commentary like they were narrating a documentary. Twitter became a battlefield where threads popped up analyzing every single word, every pause, even her facial expressions. Instagram pages reposted the moment with captions that made it sound like the situation was already confirmed and understood, even though it wasn't, and the comments completely divided. One side argued that people were twisting her words and taking everything out of context. The other side insisted that no matter how you spin it, what was said didn't sit right. And once those two sides formed, there was no middle ground. Because the internet doesn't debate to understand, it debates to prove a point. But just when things couldn't get more intense, Blueface entered the situation, and that changed everything. Because now the conversation wasn't just about Chrisean's statement, it became about a father expressing that he misses his son. That emotional layer hit differently. Some people felt sympathy, saying he had every right to speak on it. Others questioned his timing, bringing up past situations and suggesting there was more to the story than what he was showing. And just like that, the narrative expanded. Now it wasn't just one perspective, it was multiple. And then came the final twist of part 1. Carlissa Saffold stepped in, and when she stepped in, she didn't come quietly. She came defending, clapping back, and adding her own voice into the situation. Suddenly, this wasn't just a viral clip anymore. It turned into a full family dynamic playing out online. Her responses added another layer of tension, because now people had even more to react to, more to analyze, and more to argue about. At this point, the timeline wasn't just divided, it was fractured. You had one group supporting Chrisean, another backing Blueface, and a third group riding with Carlissa. And somehow, all three perspectives felt completely different, like people were watching three separate stories unfold at the same time. Meanwhile, people started digging deeper. Old clips resurfaced. Past drama got brought back into the conversation. Things that had nothing to do with the current situation suddenly became relevant evidence. And now, instead of focusing on what actually happened, people were building entire narratives based on history, assumptions, and personal bias. And here's where it got even more complicated. Because the more people tried to explain the situation, the more confusing it became. Full videos added context, but also raised new questions. Emotional moments made things feel real, but not necessarily clear. And the deeper it went, the more obvious it became that nobody was actually looking for truth anymore. They were looking for confirmation. And once someone locks into their version of the story, changing their mind becomes almost impossible. Meanwhile, Chrisean herself wasn't giving a clear, structured explanation. No detailed breakdown, no full clarification, just moments, reactions, and emotions that left people guessing. And that silence, it made everything heavier. Because when there's no clear answer, the internet fills in the gaps, and those gaps, they're never simple. So now we had a situation where everyone felt confident in their opinion, but nobody could agree on what actually happened. And just when it felt like the situation couldn't get any louder, the internet somehow found a way to turn the volume all the way up. Because once the reactions started stacking up, this wasn't just drama anymore. This became a full-blown digital spectacle, like a reality show where every episode drops in real time and nobody knows who's telling the truth. At this point, the timeline wasn't just divided. It was completely fractured. One side was defending Chrisean rock, saying her words were taken out of context and twisted for viral attention. Another side was doubling down, insisting that no amount of explanation could change what they heard. And then there was a third group just sitting back, watching everything unfold like it was pure entertainment. And that's when the content creators really stepped in. Every few hours, there was a new update, a new breakdown, a new reaction, claiming to reveal the real truth. Some creators switched sides mid-video, defending Chrisean 1 minute and questioning her the next. It felt less like analysis and more like performance, because at the end of the day, drama equals views, and views equal everything. Then came the memes, and that's when things got even wilder. Because once the internet turns something into a joke, it spreads faster than any fact ever could. People recreated the situation in exaggerated skits, turning serious moments into comedy. Clips, fake interviews, dramatic reenactments, even edits that made the whole situation look like a movie scene. It was everywhere. And while it was funny, it also blurred the line between reality and entertainment. But while one side was laughing, another side got serious. Supporters of Chrisean started moving like a full defense squad, reposting longer clips, correcting misinformation, and calling out what they believed was unfair judgment. They argued that people reacted too quickly, that context was ignored, and that the situation was being shaped by viral edits instead of actual facts. And for a brief moment, the conversation shifted. People started asking bigger questions, not just about this situation, but about how the internet works. Why do people react so fast? Why does context always come last? Why does outrage spread faster than understanding? It almost felt like the timeline was having a moment of awareness. But let's be honest, that didn't last long, because while some people were thinking deeper, others came back even stronger with criticism. They pointed out contradictions, questioned explanations, and argued that even with context, certain things still didn't make sense. And instead of calming down, they leaned in harder, bringing more receipts, longer threads, and even more intense opinions. And that's when things started getting strange. Because now people weren't just debating what happened, they were questioning why it was happening. Some claimed the narrative shift felt planned, like certain perspectives were being pushed more than others. Others started asking why certain pages were all saying the same thing. Suddenly, this wasn't just drama anymore. It felt like a deeper conversation about influence and control. And once people start thinking like that, everything becomes suspicious. Meanwhile, Blueface continued to add emotional weight to the situation. His presence kept the focus on the family aspect, reminding everyone that this wasn't just internet drama. It involved real people and real relationships. Some viewers felt sympathy, while others questioned his role in everything, keeping the debate alive. And of course, Carlissa Saffold didn't step back either. She kept speaking, defending, and adding her own perspective, which only made the situation more layered. Her involvement made it feel less like a single issue and more like a full family narrative unfolding publicly. And every time she spoke, it gave the internet something new to react to. At this point, the situation had turned into multiple realities. One version said Chrisean was misunderstood. Another said she was clear from the start. Another said the entire narrative was shifting in real time. 3 completely different stories, all built from the same moment. And that's when everything started to feel unstable. Because if people can't even agree on what they heard, how do you even move forward? And just when it felt like things couldn't get any more complicated, the conversation shifted again. It stopped being about the words. By the time things even started to slow down, or at least look like they were slowing down, the situation had already transformed into something way bigger than anyone expected. What began as one viral moment had now turned into a full-blown identity crisis, not just for Chrisean Rock, but for everyone watching from the sidelines. Because now the conversation wasn't just about what she said, it was about why people reacted the way they did. And that realization, it hit different. You had people quietly stepping back, deleting comments, softening their tone like they never went all in the first place. Meanwhile, others stood firm, doubling down on their original takes like admitting they misunderstood something would somehow erase their credibility. It became less about truth and more about pride, because on the internet, being wrong doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it feels like losing. But the real aftermath wasn't loud. It showed up in hesitation, that pause before someone reposted a clip, that second of doubt before typing a reaction, that moment where people thought, wait, do I actually know the full story? For a brief second, the internet almost felt self-aware. But of course, it didn't last. Because just like every viral situation before it, the cycle restarted. New clips appeared, new takes flooded timelines, and suddenly the same arguments came back wearing different outfits. It was like watching a storm that refuses to disappear. It just keeps circling back stronger each time. And right in the middle of all that, Chrisean, not fully explaining, not fully denying, just existing in that gray area that keeps people hooked. And whether it was intentional or not, it worked. Because as long as people are talking about you, debating you, questioning you, you stay relevant. And right now, she had the entire internet locked in. Meanwhile, Blueface's role in the situation continued to carry emotional weight. His presence kept the focus on the father-son dynamic, adding a layer that made everything feel more personal. Some people sympathized with him, while others remained skeptical, keeping the debate alive from every angle. And then there was Carlos's Saffold. By now, she had become a storyline of her own. Some praised her for defending her son, while others felt she added fuel to an already burning fire. Every time she spoke, the conversation reignited, pulling people back into the drama like they never left. At this point, the situation wasn't just messy, it was layered. Multiple perspectives, multiple emotions, multiple versions of the same story, and none of them fully aligned. That's when the biggest twist hit. This was never just about one statement. It was about how the internet builds narratives. Who gets believed first? Who gets defended later? And who gets dragged even when things change? Because once something goes viral, it sticks, even if new context comes out, even if explanations are given. That first impression doesn't disappear. Some people will always believe the original version. Others will shift with new information, and some will just watch everything unfold like it's entertainment, which, at this point, it basically is. But here's the part that makes this situation deeper than it looks, because it didn't just expose Chrisean. It exposed the audience. It showed how fast people react, how confident they are in those reactions, and how difficult it is to change course once they picked a side. And whether people admit it or not, that realization hit harder than the drama itself, because now the conversation isn't just about her. It's about us. And how easily we get pulled into stories without fully understanding them, but just when it felt like everything had been said, analyzed, and broken down from every possible angle. One final question remained. Was Chrisean truly misunderstood? Or did people only start understanding once someone else reframed the narrative for them? All right, now hold up. Before you scroll away like this wasn't absolute chaos, let's talk about it, because I already know the comment section is about to look like a full-on battleground. People typing essays, dropping timestamps, arguing like they're in a courtroom fighting for their reputation. Yeah, it's about to get real messy, but here's the question you can't dodge. After everything we just broke down, the clips, the reactions, the emotional angles, the confusion, what do you actually believe? Was Chrisean Rock misunderstood from the start, or did people hear exactly what they were supposed to hear? And what about Blueface? Is this a genuine father missing his son, or just another layer of the drama? And don't forget Carlos's Saffold. Is she defending or escalating? Yeah, I need answers. Don't sit there silently scrolling like a background character. Jump in the comments and say what you really think. Pick a side, explain your take, or call out everybody if none of this makes sense to you. Just be ready. because somebody is definitely going to disagree with you. And while you're at it, go ahead and smash that like button like it owes you money, because this breakdown, yeah, it came with drama, twists, and enough chaos to deserve it. Subscribe if you want the real tea, not the watered-down version. Over here, we don't just repeat what's trending, we break it down, question it, and flip it into something you can actually understand. Because on this channel, we don't just watch the internet go crazy, we decode it. So stay locked in, stay loud, and don't blink, because the next viral twist is always one post away. This is Fame Flaws, and trust me, we're just getting started.